Hey guys, Pete here. Are you ready for some more Game of Thrones Season 8 spoilers? I know I am, and this latest thing that came out is pretty intense. I do have to warn you though, it's like not a small spoiler, it's something that is pretty big, I think, compared to some of the other stuff we've seen so far. So if you're trying not to know what happens towards the end of Game of Thrones, then you will not want to watch this video. So this is pretty much everything that happened this week, but the first thing is the thing I just mentioned, and it goes along with some of the Winterfell spoilers that I talked about in my last video. We know that they've been shooting there, and with news that the cast had kind of moved on to Iceland, which we'll get into later, I wasn't sure we'd see much more from the Moneyglass studios in Northern Ireland, but something big just got posted yesterday, and this is what we saw. So the Facebook user Stephen McCauley posted this video on Facebook, and as you can see, this is absolutely the Winterfell set on fire. It's not like a little bit of flames here and there, but it's the entire filming set just blazing. So there's no real way to look at this photo and see what's happening in the video without coming to the conclusion that the Winterfell is going to fall, like it's going to be destroyed. The Stark's ancestral home in the north will burn down, and at least at the point of this attack, it's obvious that there will be uninhabitable going forward, so they're going to be chased out. One thing that Watchers on the Wall noted that I will bring up here because it's important, even though these are regular flames, this could be from the Night King attacking with Viserion, because they've done this in the past with wildfire, and basically they can't catch it on fire in blue flame, but they can catch it on fire with regular flame and then alter the color in post-production. Don't jump to the idea that maybe Daenerys destroys Winterfell. That could be the case, obviously, but that doesn't, just because it's regular flames doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. So this is big. I mean, they're going to destroy Winterfell, and Winterfell's been there for a long time. Like I said in my other video, we talked about scenes in the crypts. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. That sort of expedites anything being found out in there happening really early on, because it doesn't look like it'll be accessible beyond that. So you're going to have to tell me what you think in the comments about this one. Is it the Night King? Does Daenerys get crazy and decide to attack Winterfell herself? Is there another plausible explanation? In the previous video, I showed that it looked like that the Lannister forces were attacking in the night shooting that we saw last week. So could this be related to that? I don't know. Personally, I don't think so. If they have forces and they're trying to enter the castle, then that doesn't really go along with burning it to the ground. Plus, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, this pretty much requires dragon fire, but I guess it could be wildfire. It could be Cersei. That would be a surprise to me, but it's definitely possible. Beyond that, this week, there was a bunch of different stuff, nothing really as big as what I just mentioned, but we did find out a little bit more about the filming schedule on a couple fronts. Production designer or art director Deborah Riley, who won an award at the Art Directors Guild Awards, gave up an interview where she said the ending will be sweet, not just bittersweet. But even though she didn't give them any plot spoilers, she did give us a good little tidbit, and that's that the director, Miguel Sapochnik, is going to be doing a lot of his big shooting in March, according to Riley. So if you know Miguel Sapochnik, he did some of the biggest battle episodes, including Hardhome, The Winds of Winter, and the Battle of the Bastards. And we expect that since he's doing 2 episodes in the final season, they're both probably going to have a big battle in them. So that's something to look forward to. We may get some sightings and some different things going on as soon as next month, which will be epic. So I mentioned that the cast was moving to Iceland for their shooting there, which was talked about in the last video. Emilia Clarke and Kit Harington were both spotted there. And then we got the actors who play Tormund, Gendry, Jorah Mormont, Samwell Tarly, and Brienne of Tarth. Now, that is kind of confusing, but all of those actors, except for Harington and Clarke, were shot eating together. Like, they were all at the same place at the same time. The odd man out there is obviously Samwell, because he is now like Bran's right arm or whatever, and you know what I mean? There's really no reason for him to be up north any further than Winterfell. So it kind of makes you think that this Iceland stuff is not anything that's in the far north necessarily, but is most likely in the north outside of Winterfell. Now, I mean, you could just speculate wildly and say, oh, well, Bran and Sam go to the land of always winter or something like that. But what are the other guys doing there if that's the case? So they're there shooting, and we don't know what, if anything's going to leak out of there. That's pretty harsh conditions up there. We got some good photos out of Iceland last year, but nothing like we got out of Spain. So we'll have to wait and see if anything comes out of that. But a lot of the big characters are up there. They're spotted there. And then we also know that ties into this is that the filming crews have shown up in Croatia as well, where they shot all the King's Landing stuff up until season 6. It was known that they were going to go back there and they were going to shoot some stuff, probably outdoor stuff at King's Landing. It's going to be a short shoot, according to Watchers on the Wall and their information. But there's photos of them setting up. There's photos of the locations. But what's interesting here is that there's rumors going around that main cast members are going to be there, and that includes Kit Harington, who is in Iceland at the moment. I guess they scheduled it to be back-to-back. Shoot what's ever going to happen in Iceland and then go straight down and shoot in Croatia. So that is pretty exciting to think about. We don't know anything else yet since they're all up in Iceland. We'll have to wait and see who actually makes the trip to Croatia to kind of get a better idea. A couple of the main stars did some interviews this week, and Maisie Williams clarified that in a tweet. She said that quote that was taken from her that everybody has accepted and thought that meant that it's going to come out in April. She says, just a tweet letting you know this Game of Thrones release date quote I supposedly given is completely false and taken from an interview I did years ago. So yeah, there's nothing to that. I mentioned that in my last video that there probably wasn't, and that turns out to be the case. And Peter Dinklage talked about the really heightened security and the levels of secrecy that the whole cast is under right now, and how that's been, such a long journey of year after year. He kind of talks like he thinks it's a fun part of it because they know the story and they don't tell anyone. When he was asked about the ending of season 8, he said, and I quote, "It was heartbreaking and the end of an era." So does he mean that the story itself is heartbreaking? Well, I'm sure that it's somewhat. Or is he just talking about the fact that his participation in the series is coming to an end? So can speculate away on that. This has been a part of our life for quite a while now, so it's like almost hard to believe that it's actually going to come to an end, but it definitely is. And I'll be looking at everything I can find as far as shooting and interviews, and keep these videos coming throughout the filming process, which we expect will last through summer, so that'll give us plenty to think about in the run-up. And like I said, hopefully the whole thing won't leak again, and we'll be able to speculate rather than having it just straight up spoiled for us. So please like the video if you enjoyed it. Go back and watch my other one if you haven't seen it. There's some interesting stuff in there. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you turn on notifications after you do that so that you'll know when my new videos come out. If you're interested in help support the channel, please check out my Patreon account. You can always use help over there because AdSense just isn't what it used to be anymore. That's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.